Okay, greetings and welcome to another Grenfell MediaWatch update. Today's edition I want to call the uncertainty principle. Now we're 10 months in and let's do that again. We're 10 months in and we're still getting certain wings of the media trying to blame the firefighters for the massacre that took place when obviously they're not responsible. Now this is of course because the inquiry is actually still building up a narrative. It's actually not seeking to find who's responsible at this particular stage. So all we're hearing about really are how firefighters faced Armageddon. And if you can think about the heat that we're facing now, imagine that inside confined spaces plus the pressure of trying to save human lives. We're hearing about 999 operators who felt completely helpless. But the stay put policy remains highly controversial. Now one of the things that we're hearing as part of testimony is that officers didn't know what to do on this. We're having contradictory reports. Some firefighters are saying that actually evacuating the building caused problems. What it meant was that people were faced with impossible decisions and a father was told to go back and get his family, and it's likely that he didn't survive. On the other side, we're hearing that when Joe Smith took the courageous, and I mean courageous, decision to actually break from tradition, looking at the images of Grenfell on fire and saying, you know what, evacuate that building, she saved lives. Now last week we heard the news about there being 3 people investigated by the police under caution, and I think they were for negligence, they were for manslaughter, and interestingly enough they were for health and safety issues. And I say interestingly enough because how many of us have heard the name Kamal Baines? I know I hadn't, but Kamal Baines was jailed for a year after he failed to install fire alarms into a building, which contributed to the death of, I think, 2 toddlers. Now, if this sounds very familiar, then you need to think about what's happened with the Grenfell Action Block that took its time to actually expose these weaknesses, these risks to safety, and were ignored by the TMO and the council. And also, one of the things we had to worry about this is that Kamal was actually initially charged for manslaughter, but what happened was that this was reduced to health and safety offences, and that's why he only got a year. And I think we should keep an eye on this because it sets a precedent of what could happen, what we could expect to see with Grenfell, where corporate manslaughter, negligence and murder, I know murder's not really on the table, I wish it was, could be relegated to issues of health and safety, and people get slapped with fines and no one going to jail. So anyway, that's what happened last week. So if we're to look at the issues of restorative justice, what's been taking place, well, we know that the BBC's DIY SOS team has been working together with the British Prince William to actually construct a gym and a community centre. And they've done it in 9 months with around £2 million, and no doubt there'll be a BBC programme, a tearjerker, that talks about what they've done, how they reached out to the community and all the efforts they've made to actually pull this together. But personally, I find it's interesting to contrast it to Kensington & Chelsea's IT and defence budget. Now, they've spent some 3.2 million up to date, and they've made it clear that actually they're not actually going to defend themselves. They've signed up to the Hillsborough Pact, and they're saying they want complete transparency. They want an open investigation. They want to get to the truth. I kind of had a quick read of their opening statement to the inquiry. But one of the things that I noted is as much as they recognise it as a man-made disaster, they knew it was completely avoidable, they also have a line in there trying to assert that this could have happened anyway. It wasn't unique to the borough. And that's something I'm not 100% sure about. So you've probably noticed that whilst the inquiry is going on, there's been minimal news coverage on the issues of Grenfell. But what's the housing situation? Well, as it stands, 107 households out of the original 204 are still in temporary or emergency accommodation. That's right, some are still living in hotels. I think I also saw a report saying that I think there's 130 odd houses in the borough were actually empty, in states of disrepair. Anyway, a while back I reported that the Grenfell Recovery Scrutiny Committee had been closed down. Well, actually it's back. It's holding its meeting, or its first meeting, tomorrow, but they've changed the venue. It's no longer based in the community, but back at the town hall. And it's always about the council actually asking for people to register to turn up for even a public space. On their website you can see the agenda, which has an anti-activist warning on it. It seems very all cloak and daggers to me, all very much about protecting the councillors and not really hearing the voice of the people in the local region. But that's tomorrow, I think it's 6:30. And talking about anti-activist, a really strange thing happened during the last silent walk. A beautiful event as usual, solidarity, reflective, and then there was this, I don't want to swear, but this imbecile, that's what I can explain, on a motorbike who decided he deliberately wanted to disrupt the silence. But anyway, it was beautiful the way people continued and moved on, even though there was a moment where even I ran thinking that, boy, there's going to be a serious conflict going on here. And before I close, I just want to say, let that be a reminder that as much as we know there's a lot of people who are on side, we have enemies. So on that note, no, it's not cheerful, but I am roasting. I mean, I came out in the evening and thinking it'll be a little bit cooler, but I'm still all sweltering under this heat. I'll close as usual and say, may the ancestors continue to guide and protect us. Ashe.